God has a word for you
That's
there.
right.
So if you don't feel like laying down your burdens to Jesus is not feeling you, it's because there's something else there for you, which is part of how Jesus can heal you, but you need to continue searching in it. And this is part of the conversation that we can have. And where is this part of the Bibles, that can help me? Not to stop feeling, because anxiety is something that you're not going to resolve in one day, and depending of the root and depending how long you're carrying this with you. But it's a way to know how to mitigate it and how to manage it.
Bolivinaka Chimrip Sua, welcome again to Empowering Voices. And I'm so excited for today. It's been a while that from Empowering Voices since Pastor, and now we're back here for episode 44.
Yes.
Yes. And today's episode is quite interesting because I will be letting the girls. Today with me, I have two co-hosts from ICA Church, the one and only Boppa and Eunice. And today we have a very interesting and wonderful guest right from Nicaragua. Did I say that right?
You did, yeah.
Darlene Mora, right from Nicaragua, and she's been here in Cambodia for 4 years, and she's working in the humanitarian. And so today's topic is very interesting because ever since we started off this podcast, we've always talked about missionaries and families. But today's topic is very specific because we're looking at young women and what they go through, and how do they overcome things as a young woman, especially a Christian young woman. And so I will be giving the platform to these two lovely ladies today to host and to ask questions to with Darlene. And before we go in a little bit deeper, and before I give it to the girls today, Darlene, I just want you to maybe explain something about yourself and how did you come to the Lord, and how's it like in Nicaragua, and the difference between Nicaragua and Cambodia. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Gareth, for having me here. So Nicaragua is a very small country. I think a little bit smaller than Cambodia, as for size, geographic dimensions. But as for population, it's even smaller. So we're only 6 million people, and this was a census from early 2000s. So by now it could be less because of the whole migration that's
Really?
happening. Yeah. So Latin America, it's right now is like a ticking bomb, because
Oh,
of the corruption in the countries, like political struggles that we have. The economy is going down. Countries that were like very popular because of their economy, they're like facing inflation rates. It's just things are going bad in Latin America, but the Lord is always faithful there.
amen.
So yes, I'm from this very small country, and Nicaragua. There is a big difference and not a big difference with Cambodia. We're small, so I'm very used to small cities. Nicaragua, because it's right on the and the Ring of Fire. I'm sorry. It's prone to earthquakes. So we don't have the technology to build, with buildings that are resilient to earthquakes. So everything is flat. And then we say, if you ever get lost in Nicaragua, just climb a tree and then you will find your way there. But it's so easy. Like there's no buildings. Everything is flat. So whenever I travel to places where they have these tall buildings, like I just feel so intimidated by that. And also I feel like I'm asphyxiated because I'm not used to see so much concrete around me. Right. So yeah, so it's a small country. The difference with Cambodia, it's because we are a very individualist community and society. But Cambodia is very community
Community,
driven,
yes.
So the Lord, and that's another part of the testimony how the Lord has worked with me by bringing me in Cambodia. My transformation started around 7 years ago, and from those 7 years, 4 have been in Cambodia. So He has shown me so much,
Wow.
through this kind of culture. Although I've been overseas for a little bit over 10 years. I haven't been living in my country for that long because, as you mentioned, I am a humanitarian worker. So I can get a job, international jobs in any other country. So far, I have been, Cambodia is my number five country of the country I have been living in. So in over 10 years, I have lived in five different countries. Cambodia has been the longest one.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
What is it like to be a humanitarian? What is it like to be a humanitarian?
Well, it depends, where your heart is.
Mm.
If you find it just because it's a job, and sometimes it can be low pay, it can be high pay, depending on your position, the organization. It could be just a job that can keeps you traveling and allows you to meet more people, enjoy the nice food and culture, right? It could be nice, right? But also, being a humanitarian, brings a lot of loneliness in your life,
Oh,
being away from family, being away from support network. At the beginning, it's so exciting, but as we keep aging, it's like I really don't have my family, or like my parents are aging. I really have the need to go back home, or like I haven't seen my nieces like growing up. Every year they are like 1 inch taller, and I'm like, oh my god, where have you been all this time? So I've been missing all those moments. Also, it comes with the as a single woman, it comes with that challenge of like finding a partner, because you're dedicated to do this overseas. So it's a lot of instability, but at the same time, you have a lot of benefits too, as I mentioned before, in exploring cultures, and traveling for free because you offer space for those trips. So yeah, that's what it's being a humanitarian in a nutshell.
wow. I mean, it's really interesting how you've all just um, traveled to all of these places and you've seen a lot,
Hmm.
and that is why I wanted you to be here to explain and to expound on, how is it like to be a woman who's also very driven, very motivated, and a Christian woman, like, So I'm going to give it to the young ladies that are here. They are so excited. They've been waiting for this, and whatever they will ask, we will enjoy the podcast today.
It's really, yeah, I'm really very interested in hearing your story because knowing that you've been going around these many, many countries. And yeah, so as a woman or as like a young teenager, uh, and like Christian, born from a Christian family, yeah, uh, I think we don't really understand what it truly means to be, oh, a Christian, a godly woman, a Christian, like to be close with God that way. So yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to asking you a lot of questions and getting, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so the first question is, in your experience helping other women grow in faith, what are some of the most common inner struggles you see in young Christian women who truly want to walk closely with God today?
All right. Thank you, Baba. So, before I get into that, just I want to explain that in my previous country in Colombia, I was having this kind of informal program with women. Although I have my full time job, I'm trying to be involved with church, and then one thing led me to another because I also study psychology, like a master, and right now I'm doing biblical counseling to get a certification on this. But in this struggles in women, I have a pastor's wife from the church I was congregating in, and she noticed that I had a way to talk to women. And I have all their abilities, like secular ability that help me connect with people. It's not just only bringing the Bible and just preach persons, it's just connecting, building rapport with them. So it was like baking.
Yeah.
So we were doing this, and this is how I got to see women, not only in my network, just but strangers. She was sending strangers my home every Saturday, one person every Saturday, so we could work together. It was for mental health, but also at the same time spiritual and emotional support. So knowing those things and remembering what I come from, and I also have four sisters. I'm number five. So I use and all my nieces. I have five nieces. So it's everything, it's around women. I'm very blessed to be around women. I feel very comfortable with it. So I know the struggles through my sister, through my nieces, through my friends, through other. And just to go back to that point, it's self worth. That's one of the biggest struggles. And you know what? It's one of those things that you can carry with you even in your deathbed.
Come on now.
you know Self-worth, it has so many spectrums and so many roots. So many spectrums of manifestation and also so many roots. It can come from something that's simple and easy and saying, oh, I'm not pretty enough, so I'm not going to dress this, to getting into an abusive relationship because you believe that's what you deserve. So it's really deep, and we can get into that, but I'm gonna let you, and then as you guys continue asking me questions, we can get into that. Yeah.
Okay, so I think a follow up to this could be like many young women say like I love God, but I still feel lonely, anxious, or unseen. How can like understanding our attachment style help us guard our hearts instead of like drifting away from him?
Ooh,
All right.
that's a very
So
good question.
remember that we mentioned self worth. It's self worth and having low self esteem can go under the insecure attachment style. So the attachment theory, it's all about how you connected since your mom's womb, since you connected with your first caregiver, right? In this case, could be your mom, or in case there is an absence of mother, there is a father, but this is how you build relationship with your caregiver, and how those relationships through since the conception, then birth, and then childhood, how those are being carried with you through adulthood. So um many of those things are rooted, in the parenting style, but also in our upbringing. you know Things that can cause a lot of anxiety, it has to do with our culture, social pressure, or
True.
social pressure, or like unhealthy practices, not necessarily social pressure, but unhealthy practices. And then you also can have a lot of low esteem because you do not either have a reinforcement or you have abusive parents, like yeah, or you have traumas as well. Someone did something to you when you were a child, and nobody knew or wasn't able to help you to recover from that. So that can happen. So there we can talk about what could be all discusses that later on, even if we convert or even if we're born in a Christian home, we continue carrying with us. So this is important for us to know, and especially you girls, that you have a conscious now and you're exploring why I feel this. Like the teenagers and preteens, this is the moment where emotions are flaring up,
Ooh,
and then everything is just feels amazing, magnified. Like, oh, it's so good to the point that you believe love is just your
it's
first
true.
love.
Come on, preach
Like,
now.
oh, I'm not going to recover from this heartbreak. I want to die. So but and it is true. I felt that. I mean, the first time I laid my eyes on a boy was at age 12, and I thought
Come
my
on
life
now.
was done. Like, oh my god. But it is important because we continue carrying with that. And imagine, especially as teenagers or preteens, that you already carry that biological load of emotions because it's part of our life. This is
Yes.
the moment.
Yes.
It is. We all go through that, Christian or not Christian. Regardless of the culture, regardless of the country, you're already carrying all these emotions because this is the moment of your life when
Yeah.
you're unfolding those things in
That's right.
yourself. Plus, you imagine that you have all these roots, from what I explained in your childhood. So you have all these things that it's so confusing. And on top of that, so you have two things. On top of that, then we go and congregate, and then we hear things like, lay down your burdens in Jesus, and he can take them away from you, which is true, but you don't know how to. And
Come on
then
now.
you go like, how should I not be anxious? Like, Lord, you said that all the anxious and weary can come to me. How can I not do it? I mean, I don't know how to handle this. Or like, is it a lack of faith? It is not.
Yes.
So how a girl, or no, it's not how. I want all the girls to understand that if you have anxiety, if you feel fearful, if you feel sad, depression, it's another thing. You have chronic depression, which is more a clinical pathology there. But if you have this anxiety, you have to understand that this did not come like from 1 month ago. This Your anxieties did not were not born yesterday. Your anxieties are something that it's coming, from underground. And it's only when you start having all those emotions, you start trying to connect dots, but you still can't
Mm,
because you don't have awareness and you don't have the maturity to discern what is happening
that's
to
right.
you. And even if you read the Bible, it feels like those things are not applicable to you because it looks very general.
Yes.
But actually the Bible, it is very specific.
Ooh,
And this is the part that I love.
preach now.
When we go and talk, or when we read the Bible, there's so a specificity there for your different anxiety root, right? It's God, it's so perfect and so loving that He, whatever caused you, let's say it was a trauma, let's say it was unloving parents, let's say it was cruel friendships, let's say it was abandonment and rejection, God has a word for you
That's
there.
right.
So if you don't feel like laying down your burdens to Jesus is not feeling you, it's because there's something else there for you, which is part of how Jesus can heal you, but you need to continue searching in it. And this is part of the conversation that we can have. And where is this part of the Bibles, that can help me not not to stop feeling, because anxiety is something that you're not going to resolve in one day, and depending of the root and depending how long you're carrying this with you. But it's a way to know how to mitigate it and how to manage it. So yeah, it's part of that. And if you ever, guys, or like girls, feel trouble, like I'm worrying too much, or I'm worried about what my friends are saying, or I'm worried not to having enough friends, or I'm worrying not to be pretty enough, or I'm worried, not to wear this or not to wear my hair this way. And like, it's okay that you think about those things. But I want you to know that this is not something that's just gonna pass, because our parents can say that it's just a season of your life. All teenagers are like that. The beauty of this and the beauty of a youth ministry is helping and guiding youth, how to not continue carrying those things into adulthood, so you can become a secure adult.
Yeah.
You can also help others on the way, others, peers. So yes, the Bible is very specific on those things, and Jesus do have an answer for each little thing that's happening in your life.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have stopped our podcast right over there because that's about what we were going to look at. It. Anyways, I'm just joking. Anyways, that's really great, darling. That's really great. I'm really excited. Go ahead, Boppa. Get me another question. I'm really interested in all of this.
Yeah. So like in a world where women have access to everything, right? Social media, relationship opinions, and constant validation, what do you see as the biggest spiritual dangers to a woman's heart, like right now?
Oh yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, let me answering to you by giving you an example from one of the research, that I read. There was this research because I was studying the social learning theory while studying psychology. So, this social learning theory says that in order for you to continue doing something, you need four elements, which is reinforcement, reward, seeing it, like the mechanisms where you see something so you can replicate, and of course, later on, the reflection on that. So in this social learning, one of those papers I read, like, why youth use TikTok. You know, why? What's the thing that is leading all these youth? You see, do you see adults, right? But youth, why teenagers and preteens have this need to post videos, right? And then when the researchers, were asking questions and serving in a school,
Mm.
this was a school in one of these Asian country. I think it was Korea. No, sorry, it was India. Now I remember well, it was India. So they were saying it's because we love the likes. So, and then why do you love the likes? It's by liking, I know I'm likable,
Oh,
you know, by having all those likes, I know people like me. So, this, of course, suggests a need for external validation.
wow.
So, as a teenager and youth, there is this constant search for validation. And this take us back again to the self-worth, right? So this need of, if I don't have 20 likes, it means I don't have 20 friends. So we even trying to transfer those likes into friendship. We convert them. When these are like strangers, it could be people from your same school, or it could be an old man
Yeah.
in Switzerland giving like to your video. But the youth feel this is a friend,
Wow.
so, and that's also the distortion of what friendship means, what you and what the youth is
And
looking for
this is a
there.
study.
Yes, yes. So self validation is one of these things that I see why, sorry, external validation is one of the reasons why people use social media. And there are even many youth that have shown signs of depression for being in social media, and they don't have the same things that the other person is posting. But again, validation is not something that you can find out there. Validation is only something that you can have inside you. And again, back to the attachment theory, it's how validation was building you as you were growing up, you know. And parents, well, you're a parent, pastor, but parents are so busy trying to keeping you alive and fed, right? So there's no room, like, well, it could be, but probably if you are, I don't know, the child of a psychologist, someone who's actually using you as a subject of a study, that you're gonna have all this attention in trying to fix, a little bit, because this parent will know that if he doesn't do this, it's going to cause something in you later on, down the road. But it's hard. So sometimes this validations, it doesn't the lack of validation doesn't come because your parents left you out there, like you can feed yourself. No, you can have very loving parents, but they did not necessarily work in you in validation. And in my case, for example, I have a culture of non-validation. So we are very individualistic, as I mentioned. So validation was not something I was looking for out there, but I was looking for kindness, which we do not have in our culture,
Oh,
right? We're not kind people. We're so self-centric, that we forget about others. So it's different. So the struggles of the youth in social media, it's what are you looking out there in through social media. So this is one of the points, like if someone posting, someone checking how many likes, and you can feel it, when someone gives you like, that it feels like good, and especially is that person that you like, right?
that's nice.
Or like that
That's
person,
viewers.
you don't like,
Yeah.
but that person saw my photo, good, you know, and you have the need at some degree. It's a perfect thing, because we all want to be likable. We
That's
all
right.
we all want to be friends. God made us social beings, but if our self-worth, it's relying on that, and our self-worth, it's constant external validation, is not going to end up well,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm not saying don't use social media, don't use TikTok, but from all those videos you see, I want you guys to start seeing what is behind that,
Yeah.
what is behind that need for someone to say, yes, I like you by just giving a little heart or thumbs up or a heart, so or a smile, but yeah, that's one of the biggest struggles that I know it's out there, and I know people that feel the same way too.
Just talking about like social media, a lot of the times when we feel like we're like detaching from God, most youth would be like taking some so-called digital detox. Where like, oh, I'm going to take my time away from social media so that I can grow closer to God and all that. But at the end of the day, we still like need like a social life, or we're still going to be on the internet somehow for work or for school or for anything like that. So like um aside from like a digital detox, like how can we form a digital discernment where like we stay connected but still having peace and having a relationship with God and not being steered away, like not letting social media steer us away, even if we are connected on it. Like
I will start by saying we all know our boundaries and we all know our triggers. All right. So as I said, like me posting things and having uh people giving like to me, it's like nothing because it's not my upbringing, it's not my culture. So to me, that's not gonna, and also Satan wouldn't work in me through that way. He knows that something is not an interest, right? Um, so, but I have other triggers, and how you know how much is healthy and what kind of content is healthy. We have, two extremes, right? We have the very healthy one when you're actually just scrolling for videos about nutrition and medicine, which is like super healthy, or like God's word, super healthy. And then you have the other ones like, pornography or like kind of things that you shouldn't be watching because it's totally intoxicating your mind and your heart. And but then we have the gray line, right? So we got the gray line, those things that are not bad for someone, but they're bad for others. I always say this is like being on a diet, right? So my diet, for example, it's like very low in carbs, for example. It doesn't mean that carbs are bad, right? Carbs are good. God created carbs. But for my health necessities right now and to improve my health, I have to lower them, right? So if someone offers me a muffin right now, I will say no. Is the muffin bad? No, but I know my triggers because I know the
Yeah.
muffin will be bad into my
Spot on.
body,
Spot on.
right? So the same thing with social media. So one of the things that I could give you guys, and one of the things that I discover on my own, but I know exactly what could be. Um, it's when you are scrolling down and then you feel your heart starts beating, and if you have a smartwatch and then it has the heart rate, your heart rate will immediately go up. Even if you see a photo of someone you love, your heart rate would go up. It doesn't mean it's bad, but you go up. But when you're scrolling your social media and then you start feeling here heavy, or you start thinking, oh, I think I should do it. Oh, I'm doing it bad. Oh, if I was this pretty. Oh, if I could have that body. Oh, and then instead of feeling entertained, you just feel so heavy. And the other ripple effect of that, it's not going to make you stop. It's going to make you go for more videos like that type
Mm.
because you did not have enough,
Yeah.
right? You did not have enough with that thing that in the moment triggered you and hurt you. You feel like, "Ah, maybe I'm gonna see a video, probably is gonna say something." You're gonna find that thing that is hurting you. Is hurting you. It's like putting salt in the wound. You did not have enough. Now you wanna try with a different salt. Just is to see if this is also, making you hurt. So we know our triggers. For me, for example, something that is good, but for me was bad, It was watching exercise videos. I love the gym. I love exercising, but I know I can take it into a very unhealthy way to the point that I was even dreaming, oh, tomorrow I'm gonna do this number of Bulgarian squats, and then later I'm not gonna have this. I'm gonna eat reduce, you know.
Becomes an obsession.
It is. So I stopped watching this video. Oh, I already know my gym routine. I don't have the need for that. It's an exercise video, but it is not. But it's triggering me.
Yeah.
You see, and then how do we relate, or how do we bring God in these things, right? Again, what are you looking for out there? Why are these videos triggering you,
Mm.
right? What is that thing that is hurting you? And how can you heal from those things? Like, Garris, I want you to understand that whatever is hurting you, I don't want you to dismiss it. Whatever is triggering you, I don't want you to say, it's gonna happen when I grew up. The Bible says, and let me bring it to you. In Psalms 139,
Mm.
and I love it because I use this a lot in Psalms 139.
Oh Lord, you've searched me.
Yeah, it says, verse 23, search me, God, and know my heart.
Mm.
Test me and know my anxious thoughts. So the Bible, it's giving you right there the clue of what to do when you feel this way. And it's not about I have to figure it out right away. The Bible says, search me of God, oh God. Search me, help me to understand why this is making me feel sad, why this is making me feel this way. And as a Christian, I don't want you to think, oh, I shouldn't be thinking about this. No, don't dismiss it because it is important to you. But, and we have someone, even if our friends don't think about it, like, stop talking about you're not pretty, you're pretty enough. And they just, but it is important to you.
Yeah.
Bring it to the Lord. And this is where you start getting to know the Lord better, that he does care about those things. And it's not just like, oh, I shouldn't worry about my look, I know that's vanity. No, the Lord does care about your heart. He doesn't care about the look, but he cares how your heart is feeling when you think about your look.
Mm.
He says that he came to give us life and life in abundance. And that means living fully this life,
Yeah.
until our bodies are transfigured. So if there's that thing, in social media, and you know that this is my trigger, I'm not going to watch it. There's no point in this. Just keep scrolling, or limit it to, well, also limiting social media, it's good. It's a good practice, because I was very ashamed. So I finished my master in psychology last April. Oh, yeah, last April. And when I was studying, I was not even opening my accounts, like, because it was a distraction for me, because 30 minutes when I could be just doing more research to finish my dissertation. I was like, ugh. So I did not use it. But as soon as I submitted my dissertation and I knew I passed, I started, in this spare time on social media. And then I started getting, this is an iPhone, what I have, the screen report, the screen time report. Girls, I was doing 7 hours and 30 minutes daily, average. And then I was like, this is embarrassing, because I know I work 8 hours.
7 hours of that time was just screen time.
Oh, I was like, thank God my boss is not seeing this, he's not getting, what am I doing on my phone
Mm.
for 7.5 hours daily? you know so what I did is, starting this year, January 3rd, I started the social media fasting. I don't know, you guys have heard about it. And then what I temporarily closed my Facebook account, Instagram account. And it was hard, in January, because even I was like, not doing anything. I was going to my phone because the accounts were closed. I couldn't do anything. And then after that, after I passed the 30 days, we are in April, I hardly opened the accounts. Especially because I don't work on social media. I understand people that has to be connected. People, I don't know, they work is about business and selling, and I don't know. But for me, there's no need for that. So, it's there. I reopen my accounts, but I don't have that need to go there because sometimes we do something called escapism, which means you're escaping for something, and then you find refuge on that, right? For example, I know when I had a not so good day, not bad, but not so good, and I was bored, I was going to my phone. That's called escapism. Why was I not working out at the gym? Why was I not talking to friends? Why was I not studying, studying the Bible? And I went back to school. So, this is the kind of things. And one of the things that my grandma used to say to me when I was younger, it was, an empty mind is Satan's worship, or playground, um, because your mind is just goes empty on those social media. You're doing nothing else. Exactly. So if this is not something that is going to, it's vital for you or like critical, like working on this and that, reduce that time. And within that time, that's reducing of time, find those things that you know is triggering you and what is making you feel heavier or obsessed about that.
Okay, it's not like closely related to what we were talking about, but if you could speak directly to a young woman who feels overwhelmed, confused, or stuck in her walk with God, what would you say to help her take her next faithful step forward?
Well, the emotion, it's sad, you mentioned that how she feels,
Overwhelmed,
overwhelmed.
confused, or stuck
Okay.
when it comes to her walk.
All right. So remember, our statutory population right now is youth, right? So youth, most of the youth issues, it's relationships, parent relationships, friendships, you know, dreams, future dreams. So those are the three things that I can say I can put the youth in as for their concerns and what can make them feel anxious. Okay. Like as you keep growing, you will say, "Oh, what am I going to study? Oh, what is that thing? Where?" Because now we have international options. In my case, there was nothing else than being an accountant, so I was an accountant. So thank God I have no pressure. But now I see there is like a diversity of options, and
Millions of stuff
I
coming
know.
on the table. Eh?
Yeah, yeah. During my times when I started, there were like a few of them, and one of them was accounting, so I did accounting. But so if we bring those three main issues that can put a burden and and make a youth feel overwhelmed, um, I would say, what can I say to them, depending of what is making them feel bad, right? Let's say it's the future. So, oh, another thing that before I continue answering that, overwhelm is like overwhelmness is like there is too much that I cannot handle. That's what I feel. That's what it is, right? It's too much I cannot handle. Um, a good practice, what I like to do, and I call it is dumping out the puzzle boxes, right? The puzzle box, like you dump out all the puzzle pieces on the table. So imagine that you have a puzzle box, right? And you want to make them, you want to put them together, and then you start taking one piece and put it on the table, and then, okay, I don't like this. And then you grab that piece and put it back in the box, and then randomly you take another one. When are you going to finish putting that together? Never. You need to take the whole box and dump it out on the table. So someone who's overwhelmed because they have so many pieces in that box, it's like it feels so much. So a good technique is organizing your thoughts. And asking for advice.
Come
The
on.
Bible says in the book of Proverbs that the multitude of advice bring wisdom to a city.
That's
Right?
good.
So advisors are good. You know, don't carry all that on your own. And when you bring all those puzzle pieces on the table, you realize that those are the same but different colors. You know, by this I mean probably you are concerned about, oh my god, I got so options, I don't know, or my parents are saying whatever you want, and then I don't know, and I have to make the decisions on my own. So what do I
No
want?
pressure, no pressure.
I sometimes it's so much easier that your parents tell you you're gonna study
Yeah.
this. You're laid back like me, like yes, mom. I'm
Especially,
gonna
especially from other culture, Asian
yeah.
culture, Fijian culture, your culture.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
problem solved.
yeah.
I'm gonna say, and I always tell my mom, if
Yeah.
this doesn't go well, I'm gonna blame you. You know,
That's a good one.
because it takes a lot of
Yeah.
that load, my mind from my mind. So when you are thinking about what's gonna happen in my future, that's someone that is being preoccupied. Like you are
Mm,
preoccupied. Before that happens, you're already taking that into you
yeah.
before it even happens. So, number one, put all the pieces on the table. Number two, see which pieces are similar. So in your mind could be, oh my God, I have 10,000 things to resolve, but actually it's only three. It's just the other ones are just, a branch of this. And if you resolve the main one, the other ones will
Fit in.
be resolved by default. They will be taken care of. And the third thing is look for advice, seek advice, advice is good. You can either do it with your peers, you can do it with your parents, you can do it with someone that you trust, um, and reduce the limit, reduce the quantity of information you are receiving, because it's going to make you spiral down in this thing like, oh, I got so many things. I know this is happening. There's so many universities out there. What do I want? Um, it's going to make you feel very overwhelmed,
Yeah.
right? So that's in this thing like what to do with my future, right? Um, how about the other ones like relationships, like, oh, when can I have a boyfriend, or why I don't have a boyfriend when when someone else has it, so those are the things overwhelm as well. And then we have our other category, which is relationship with your parents. My parents, they are okay, but I don't feel love enough, or or I don't believe, that I'm receiving what I need, or like I'm always mad at my parents, and I want to leave home. I want to run away from home, or I cannot wait to start working so I can be independent on my own. So you start getting so overwhelmed by this thing that hasn't happened yet. Um, but also they are important to you. And again, put all the pieces on the tables, seek advice, and see, how many of those pieces are the same. That's part of what humanly we can do, right? Now, let's go to the scripture. You have someone who is always there listening to
Come
you.
on.
You have someone who does care about your future and about the career, that you're gonna choose. You do have it. And then one of the things that I always love about the Lord, he has shown to me since young, but it's only in my 40s that I'm listening to him, you know? And whatever we decide to do, he is going with us.
Yeah.
And as long as this is glorifying his name,
Mhm,
it's gonna be okay.
mhm.
And the other thing is, as a youth, you have so many more years and so many other things to study.
Yeah.
So if you choose something right now, it doesn't mean that your life is ruined if it doesn't end up as you want it, right? Could be because you have limited resources and you have to prioritize. I understand, it happens to all of us. But there is always so much to live for in the Lord that you will see that in, for example, in 10 years, you can study one bachelor degree and two master degree. Imagine that in 10 years. And in 10 years, you're still young. You're still very young. I'm still planning
For it.
what to do when I reach my 60.
Wait.
I have 20 years, like, and I go and I choose what to study. I wanted to, I told you I chose accounting, but I wanted to study psychology. But my mom said, no, so it's true. In my context, psychologists don't make money. Nobody uses psychology. You will see taxi driver psychologists because there is no job for that. And
Yeah.
my mom said, "No way, you're gonna starve to death if you study that. You're gonna study accounting and that's it." And but it stayed with me. I want to.
Yeah.
And as I became independent and I made my own money, I said, then what is stopping me now? God is with me.
Yeah.
And as long as this is glorifying his name, you will be okay.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
So, I have a question regarding the fact that, like your future and whether you should be worried about it. Cause like I'm in like 12th grade now, so like I still haven't figured out where I'm going, and like I think I don't know. It's like whether you feel, I don't know if it's a sense of calm because like I'm not really thinking about where I'm gonna go after school much because I'm like, oh, do I just say like, oh, let go and just let God work that out? But or is it like you have to do something in order for him to do it to like move you?
Mhm.
Or yeah, so like I don't know where to start. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel the same way. They think, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, should I like that's expanding on
Mhm.
the future and
Mhm.
whether you should like let God just move you or not.
Yes. So you will there are people that have certain callings, right? Like, and God tells them, even when they're younger, you're gonna do this. They're gonna take you apart and say, you're gonna be a missionary. You're gonna do this. Yeah.
Be a preacher.
Yeah, you're gonna be a pastor and you have this calling, right? And then you have people like me,
Yeah.
and again, my mom told me that I should study accounting, but I still feel like I wanted to help people, you know. I always felt this like for counseling and psychology, and when I started in my humanitarian career, I felt like even though I was not doing counseling or that, I was still through research studying population groups and their behaviors because to in order to develop a program in a community, you have to study the population. But how is it that you can bring God into your decisions? One of the things is feeling peace about it,
Yes.
right? And again, here, the main key is what is glorifying his name. There, very well, for example, what you're going to study, and like from the options, right, that you have, and where do you want to study. And then you say, for example, I don't know, let me say something like, I want to study and
Engineering.
no, let me see, in Brazil,
Oh,
right?
okay.
At this point, and I'm an adult, and I know the things that are my triggers, my temptations, and all that, right? And then I say, I'm not gonna go to Brazil because instead of studying, I'll be dancing all day long. So like, I'm not gonna go there. That
The cha cha, salsa.
glorify God. But this is a silly example, but it is like, so your options, and you also know, you no, it's not that you know your heart, but you feel where your heart is beating on, you know and if you feel something like, oh, I want to study communication, I want to interview people, I want, and you start doing research about where the field that you're going to study is applicable to, then you feel like, oh, I can do this. um it's incredible that people say, how is it that you went from accounting to psychology? And the first thing is like, oh, I always wanted to study psychology, but because of the needs in my context, I went. But if I connect, then it's incredible because you have In accounting, you have um, the very, I will say, responsible part, the human being and their mindset of managing, funds. And on the other side, you have people deciding what to do with those funds, because it's behavior psychology. So
Mhm.
they're both connected. Everything, and that's another thing that you guys need to know. Everything is connected.
That's right.
You just need to find the right angle, and as you also continue studying, nothing is stopping you to study something else, like I don't know, if you want to be an architect and you're still waiting for that, why don't you take a small course on how to use AutoCAD right now, for example, right? So there's nothing that can stop you, as for, oh, you're gonna, if you study this is gonna be your box
Yeah.
and you cannot get out of the box. No, no, the fields, fields of studies are like very broad, and they're like so applicable everywhere. You see, I remember in one of those job interviews I had, I study pastry, right? I went to a
Oh,
pastry school, and that's why I like baking.
yeah.
So I remember
Wow.
person.
You have really done a lot, eh?
Oh, that's
Accountants,
not, that's not,
pastry chef, humanitarian,
that's,
psychology.
yeah, that's not
Wow.
my testimony.
Everybody that's listening right now, the girls listening, this, come on now.
So I studied bakery, and I remember one of this job interview. This person, the interviewer, he did not care about my certifications, my diploma.
Yeah.
He cared about soft skills, because it was one of the main interests, right? And then he said, "So what is an ability that you have? How do you connect with people?" And then I, at that moment, I did not, I haven't studied psychology, so I couldn't explain it that way. But I said, well, I went to baking school. And then he said, what does it have to do? And I was like, you know how much people like baking goods? And this is my way to connect with people.
Come on now.
And this is like, I can just, if I'm part of a team, you think the team wouldn't like some nice cinnamon rolls on a Monday morning with
Uh-huh.
coffee?
Uh-huh.
You think, and today this is what I do, this is my way to connect with people. If you meet anyone from the countries, if you mention my name, they'll say, oh, her cinnamon rolls, oh, Darlene loves baking. I think, but the day I die, my obituary will say, and she knew how to bake.
Yes. Yes.
So again, sweetie, it's just, I know it's very overwhelming to think about your future. Bring God in. Weight your options. Talk to Him about how you feel and what you want, and know that as long as this is bringing glory to His name, He's gonna make sure to take you on the right track, to lead you, to walk with you on the right track. And He's gonna continue open doors after doors. And also, you have to believe that adults don't know they don't necessarily feel like complete and fulfilled. Oh, this is what I wanted to study and I made it. No, we can be 80 years old and still wishing we have studied something different, or not else, but additional,
Yeah.
So, and life is beautiful and it gives you so many opportunities too. Yes.
Aside from like feeling overwhelmed, confused, or stuck in your walk with God, I feel like what some young women who are starting their walk with God struggle with, especially when they have like an avoidant attachment style. Like some of them, it could feel scary or like exhausting to have like an intimate relationship with God. So like how, if you have like that avoidant attachment style, how do you practice staying in the presence of God even when it feels so scary and like exhausting at
Mhm.
times?
Okay. So because we're talking about attachments, I will go back to one of those attachment theories, which is attachment to God, right? So in the attachment to God theory says that we relate to God either through correspondence or let me see, correspondence and compensation, or compensation. So what does it mean? um we can either see God the way that we saw our parents, or it could be one of our parents, you know. So we are amazing human beings that we tend to have a greater connection with one of our parents than the other. It doesn't mean that we don't love them. We love them equally. We can give our life for them. But it's just we have this special connection with one of them. You know, in my case is my mom. Um, but we can either see God with correspondence or compensation. If this person, or as a young girl, um, you have a not so ideal relationship with your father, most surely you will either deal with God in the same way your father deal with you.
Ooh.
That is called correspondence. I'm corresponding the same, and it's not intentional. Let me tell you, it's not intentional. It's just that's the way that you learned to deal with the father figure. You know, that you don't tell them many things, because you can either straight out the bat saying, "Oh, he doesn't care," or he said, "Well, he got other things to do," you know, because our fathers, you know, in this case, are they have so many things to do.
Yeah.
Um, or you can, once you come to the realization that your relationship with God could improve, and then you start thinking, okay, what is it something that I long in my father that I did not have? Then I can have it in God. That is called compensation.
Wow.
All right. It's
I didn't
incredible.
know that.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it is incredible, you know. The first time that I saw a model of compensation without having the knowledge was in my mom. My mom, she was not very well loved by her mother and not very well loved by her father. So she was just someone who was just a child in the house, but not like having that loving relationship. And my mom was longing for a loving relationship, that she married my dad, who later was an abusive person, you know? So even she couldn't find love in the parents, she couldn't find love in her husband. And then when she met Jesus, I remember the first thing that she said is that is David in Psalms, like, even if my father and my mother leave me, you will not forsake me.
That's right.
She found compensation in the Lord,
Wow.
and nobody can move her from there.
Yeah.
And to the point that my mom says, I'm going to church. You guys do whatever you want to go, but do what you want to do. I'm going to church, and nobody gonna stop me to worship my father.
Yeah.
You know? So, and she found it on her own. Nobody knew her. Nobody knew anything. It's only I was a teenager at that time, but I learned that compensation through her. But unfortunately, because my life, the way that I strayed from the Lord, I couldn't find that compensation until later in my life, in my mid 30s. And but so back to the avoidant part. So here's the thing. What happens with attachment style is all about proximity. The anxiously attached person needs a closer proximity. So um the closer it's to you, the safer it feels, right? The avoidant, the proximity, the perimeter is wider. And it feels good when you're there, but as soon as you enter like 1 meter closer, that person will move 1 meter away because it has their perimeter.
Wow.
But why these are insecure? Because the anxiously attached person can have you right there, but they need to know your thoughts, your heart. Like, what are you thinking? Did you miss me? Because that proximity is never enough. That closeness is never enough. That's why they spiral down in anxiety, you know, because it's never enough. And they become hyper vigilance because oh, you look at me bad, you look bad at me, oh my god, you're mad at me, you know. And it becomes like that. So but avoidant, it's, I don't want to know your heart because it's going to hurt me. I don't want to hear about you, it's going to hurt, because it's going to hurt me. So as an avoidant person with God, it's I don't want to read your promises because at the end, those promises do not apply to me. This is all about love and proximity and self worth. So they will prefer invalidation, they will prefer to have God as their God right there in heaven. And it could be a Christian, but avoidant with God saying, God, your promises are beautiful, but they don't apply to me. So that's how the avoidant attachment style behaves, in the Christian life. And there are other spectrums. And then you can find people that not necessarily have this avoidance with people, because they can be even very friendly, but when you want to become closer to them, they won't let you. But they're still, and they can make excuses, like, oh no, I'm sick, oh no, I'm tired, oh no, I'm busy. um but with God is even deeper, so that's what happens, in a relationship. So my advice is to you girls is like, any lacking of, I don't know, support, security that you had before, or you still have it, compensate it in the Lord. And then how, we can go deeper on that, because it depends, what you're lacking of, it depends. In my case, it was hard for me to believe that God saw me as a little girl, because again, my context and my culture and my upbringing, seeing how men were failing in my family, my father was failing in my family, our culture, our neighborhood, all the men were like either abusive, or like they just didn't care, or they were like good but not good providers, all, how the male role fell in my eyes, and then I didn't believe that God will show me as a little girl, because in my mind, he wanted me to be strong the whole time. I have no time to be weak. So I saw a severe father, you know. I saw a father who just, it is either right or wrong, and if it's wrong, I will punish you. So, and then the Lord, like, Proverbs 31 for me, I hated Proverbs 31. As a Christian, I'm telling you, I converted at age 12. And I only got to love Proverbs 31 in my mid 30 when God started working in my life. And to change that, I always said that I have had three conversions in my life. And in my mid 30 was the third conversion when God changed that mindset. He renewed my mindset. And then Proverbs 31 to me was like such a silly woman, a modern with a woman whose behavior doesn't apply in these modern days.
Virtuous woman.
Yeah. And but then, as God started transforming, I'm longing to be that woman. And I saw God in every verse,
Yes.
of that book,
Yes.
of that chapter of that book. It's incredible. So yeah. Um yeah, that's how attachment styles work and how they're shaping our relationships. And in our relationships, they're vertical and horizontal.
Yeah.
And everything should starts with the vertical,
Mm.
in order to see how the horizontals are working too,
Mhm.
So yeah.
Darling, sorry, girls. After listening to you for a few minutes, and dissecting every single thing, some of the things that you are sharing with us today, some people will see it as insecurity, but it's actually a way of how life has been shaped from when they were young.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is something that a lot of girls actually go through, and they lose their worth
Hmm.
along the line just because of someone that is not educating them that whatever they're feeling is valid, but at the same time, that's not your fault. It's something that you have gone through over the years. And
Exactly.
they lose all of themselves trying to find love from other men or other people. That
Hmm.
the fact that they don't realize that this is something that has been a trend over culture, over
Hmm.
family, you
Hmm.
know, and it's it's so interesting as you are, expounding on it. I'm sitting down here and I'm listening to everything that you're saying. I'm having a therapy on my own
Mhm.
because this is the same thing that I went through as well. Even though I'm a guy, my father was not an easy man, you know, and I still find myself lack of worth. And I sit down with my wife, and I have a wonderful wife who listens. And shout out to Jen, who'll be watching this as well. She The first thing that she said was that, I think, just like what you're saying, I think these are the traumas of your past, that your father and your mother never actually said that I love you in the past, that you are always saying, do you love me? Do you still love me? These are the things that
Mhm.
whatever you are actually saying is whatever that I'm looking at myself, you know? And whoever will be watching this as well, either whether you're a boy or whether you're a girl, I'm actually relaying to everything that you're saying. That's why I'm sitting down here and I'm like, wow, all of these things. I never thought that it was actually
Mm.
something that has been there. And I thought it was me, and I'm going out. Sometimes it drives me nuts because I think, me thinking like, I don't know what's happening with me. But then now that you are sharing this, in my mind, my brain is actually restructuring it, because now I have two girls
Mhm. Yes.
that I have to shape things in the way that they would see someone that they would say, he's got my back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is just not for the girls that I'll be listening. These are also for the fathers that are sitting down,
Mhm.
and they'll be also watching this. You know, whatever, I heard this from my parents, but I never thought about it. And this is what, when my sister was gonna get married, and he asked my father, what kind of man should I? And this is what he said to my sister. He says, sometimes women marry their own fathers,
Mhm.
because the abusiveness that they go through, they
Yeah.
understand, it's a norm to them, so they find somebody who is actually abusive as well. And now that you are sharing all of this, I'm seeing
Mhm.
my two girls, and I'm like, what kind of men do they want to marry?
Yeah.
What kind of men do
Exactly.
they want to be with?
Yes. Yes.
If I can't edify them, then who should edify them? I'm the closest thing that's
Yeah.
there for them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you
That's
know?
right, my brother. That's right.
And it hits me hard as well. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not just sitting down here and I'm hearing all the ladies that are talking, but it also hits me hard as well. Like, this is me.
Yeah.
I got two girls,
Yeah.
and how you are explaining things is so vital, so interesting, so important, that when they are growing up, this is what they are
Yeah.
vulnerable to go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
And not only how they're gonna relate to the husband, they're gonna find the features, how they're gonna relate in God to
Yes.
God.
Ooh.
How you deal with them, they can either decide to compensate or correspond it,
Yeah.
you know. So that's another thing, the trust. One of the things, that it's so easy to explain about anxious attachment or avoidant, it's when you leave a child for the first time in daycare,
Yeah.
they cry like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want to, baby." But what do they say? I'll be back. I'll be back, you know? And then you certainly are back. And then 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, they stop crying. Why?
They know that you're gonna come back.
They know you're gonna come back. They know that you got your back there. It's easy, it's simple and easy like that. You know? I know you're scared, but I'll be back. I remember in my life, I have had my moments of I don't know, struggle when I say mom, I want to go back. But actually there's not much good waiting for me at home because of the economy and all that. But sometimes I just wish I could stop working for a year and having like this relaxing time at home. And my job is a blessing for my family too. So my mom says, you can come back anytime because God will provide.
Mm.
Just those words makes me keep going.
Come on.
Just those words. I don't immediately she doesn't say no, don't come back because what about the money? What about the country? What? No. And she's not a person that can express too well, but she only with her giving me the security that is gonna be fine, it keeps me going, you know.
Yeah.
Those are the words, I'm here, I know you're my son, I will never stop loving you, you're my daughter,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be here. I know you have to explore on your own, but I will always be here and God will be with you.
Amen.
Those are the things. And another thing that happens with our parents, and then it continue happened. It was not their fault, because people love as they were loved.
Ooh.
You know, I as I grew up and started thinking about my father, I remember the stories that my dad, in his own words and kind of making fun, he used to tell me I had to run away from home. He was a farmer, and because his father was a farmer, because dad did not want me to go to school. And dad was waking me up at 3 a.m. to go and herd the cows. And this was the life of a boy of 15 years old. And my father ran away from home at 16. And after he did that, he was such a big disappointment for his father. So, how can my dad could be proud of my achievements if his father was never proud of his?
That's true.
It is not his fault,
Mm.
the way that he loved me. And it's not my fault the way that he did not love me well, but it is my responsibility to heal from it in God. So I can continue relating to God in the most healthy way, and I can continue relating to others through God too. You see,
Yeah.
and then now you talk, for example, about the girls and how they engage later in life, and you could be surprised. I remember this was a study in my country, in early 2015, I think. At that time I was having this study by UNICEF. UNICEF,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So Nicaragua is one of the, I think at that time it was the country with the highest teen pregnancy rate, right? And then we're a very conservative country, but we have the highest teen pregnancy, right? And and then in this study, questions were asked to them, like, why? And of course, they get pregnant because they engage in sexual activities early in their life, premature, but the thing is not as we believe. Oh, the girls get pregnant because they have the heat, in a very young age. The reason they were looking for a sexual partner, it was to feel love and acceptance.
Wow.
And of course, the consequence of that was a pregnancy.
Mm.
But in our confusion of thought, in mind, in heart, we don't know what love is. And we believe love is being in a bed with someone.
Mm.
And then for them, they could have had that few seconds of love, but the whole reality shows that there is more than 2 seconds. But because they don't know anything else, they hold on to that.
Sure.
They continue with those bad relationships and engaging, you know. So God made everything perfect. Every spirit of our life, He made it perfect. And anything less or more or before and after, it's a symptom of something else.
Wow.
For example, sex, right? So he made it for marriage, Anything before and outside that, it's a symptom. You're dealing with something else. You're looking for something out there. And it's not because, oh, I don't believe in this. No. Or, yeah, well, it's my body. I want to do it. No. There is a reason why you want to engage in this. Food, Food, God made food and a variety of food. If you eat less or you overeat, there is a symptom of something else.
Yeah.
Most of the time is escapism,
Yeah.
you know, or self-worth.
Mm.
When you're trying to lose so much weight or even becoming to this anorexia, because you don't have enough self-worth for that. So there is a symptom,
Mm.
in that. So, other things like working out, he made health and anything less or more than that, there is a symptom.
Yeah.
So relationship. So everything that God created is good. It's just sin has distorted that,
Yes.
So remember, whatever He created in every sphere of your life that is important, you're doing too little or too much. This is a symptom of something else happening in your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So same thing with the girls, I mean, I was your age before, and of course I did things that I'm not proud of, but now I understand why I did it, you know. And I'm so glad that God came to my life on time. Even if I said in my mid-30s, but he did come on time,
Yes.
His time is perfect. So yeah, it is important, how we relate inside our family, how our parenting it's important to you. Again, there's no way you can do things 100% perfect,
Yeah.
um, but those spheres of a woman's life are so important. And then knowing the self-worth, for example, part of the compensation that I found in the Bible, and this was recent because it was beautiful, talking about self-worth. Do you know that feeling loved by God, it's a blessing?
Mm.
It's not a blessing. It is a blessing to be loved by God, of course, but feeling, you know, you actually feel the love of God.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
It's the difference between knowing it and feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we can find this in the book of Deuteronomy.
Mm.
And then when Moses was about to die, so he started blessing all the tribes of Israel.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can find if someone bless me, probably I want to be like Judah, like strong, and the other, the other sons of Jacob of Israel, like those ones that break cities, like a strong people. But here comes a blessing that it can be overlooked.
Yeah.
But to me, is the best blessing ever. Is a blessing to Benjamin, and it starts by the beloved child. That's how the blessing starts. It looks like Moses did not leave anything good to him, but it left him the blessing to feel God's love. To say, to the point that saying, the beloved child, the beloved son. And then it says, you will rest in between God's shoulder. When I was looking at this shoulder, I imagine was like when Jesus talked about the lost sheep, that you put it here, but actually in that verse it means here on your chest. It is such a blessing to rest on God's chest, to feel, because in here you can feel his heart. And to me, if I were part of that tribe, I want that blessing. I don't want the blessing to be strong and powerful and smart. And no, I want the blessing to feel loved by God. Because if I can feel his love, my life changes. Or now I feel it, but it's incredible how your life changes. Your self-worth, your validation, your self esteem, your self love change completely. Yeah. Go ahead, Caris.
I feel like another thing that a lot of young women or young Christians struggle with is choosing the right environment and friendships. Like, how can a young woman tell the difference between friends who are good company and friends who slowly pull her away from God, even if they seem loving on the surface?
So, I think I mentioned to you when we were briefly talking about uh, the kind of things that we're gonna talk. So, this was a big challenge for me because I was born, in my context, it's either black or white, right? So, and I did not have a youth ministry, so I did not have guidance on how to find friends, and we did not have. I was sitting with the adults, so of course adults couldn't understand me. So but I was in love with the Lord and I wanted to please him in every way. So that also had implications of me withdrawing from friends because I was so afraid to be tempted, you know. I was so afraid to do something that God could be disappointed on me on for, you know. And I totally withdrew from friends. And um and then I also I couldn't even talk to them because I was also so in love with the Lord that all I could talk about was his word, you know, and his name, and which is amazing, and that's what the Lord wants from us. But how can we differentiate, you know, what kind of friendship? Again, you know your triggers, but you also will see their fruits, right? One of the biggest mistake, which is a very fine line, it's that's okay, that person is okay, it's bad, I can help them to convert. You're not the Holy Spirit. Okay.
That's right.
Be very careful, you know, of what kind of fruits this person is showing, but also be merciful, graceful, and compassionate with this person,
Yeah.
you know, and being their friends, but also you know what kind of triggers are in you and what your temptations are, you know. And then the Bible says, do not convert to them, let them convert to you, right? And that's another thing, you know, that we can do. But another thing that I want to say from the biological point is it's incredible how God made us for connection, right? So we connect with the Lord and we connect with people. We have this natural need for connection, emotional, and also mentally, right? So, but to the point, you know, this is incredible. Have you guys heard as girls that when we are like many girls together and we spend a lot of times, our periods sync?
Mm,
Okay,
The Bluetooth.
yeah, the
it's a
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth. Yeah, if our bodies are synchronizing because we're connecting. It's pheromones, hormones, whatever. We are connecting. Even and one of the beauty of this is there is research that our brain and our heart connects to.
Ah,
We can even get, you know, if we spend here too long, and I can't I can make my heart to sync with yours. You know, maybe not intentionally, but we're going to start having the same kind of heartbeat and heart rate, you know, because it's like, it's amazing because God made us for connection,
ah,
and who you connect with, it's important. So that's part of the friendship, you know, who you're going to be friends with, you know, how is it you connecting with them or them connecting with you? You know, what kind of things are you taking away from that person every time that you finish an encounter? You know, what kind of things? Is this person making you feel heavy, anxious, or is making you feel joyful and grateful with the Lord?
yeah.
You know? So having that discernment and awareness only comes with the Holy Spirit.
Mm,
He's all helper. Everything you need on this earth, he's gonna help you with.
yeah.
You know? So again, you get to choose your friends. And but there are friends that definitely not bringing anything to you.
Mm,
And also Paul says, you know, everything it's available for me. I can do everything,
yeah.
but not everything edifies me.
Mm,
We can have 100 friends, but how many of them are going to edify you?
yeah.
You see, again, be compassionate. It doesn't mean that you're going to um, cut any communication with them, you know, cut them off. Some do need it, fortunately. Uh, but, you know, remember that your heart and what the word says and your triggers and your temptations, you know that.
yeah.
Everyone knows them, you know, and how your heart is feeling after you stop talking to them. and how do you want, or who you want your heart and your brain connected to. That is important. Our organs are connecting right now. One of this neuroscientists, she was saying right now our stomachs are connecting. you know it's just everything, our organs, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you have to choose wisely who you want to connect with. It is important. Okay.
Right. So I think all of the information that you've just shared with us, all the wisdom that you shared with us, I think we're coming to the end of our podcast, and I myself am taking everything in, and it's a lot to take in. And whoever will be watching this, if you're ready to watch this, please grab a cup of tea and sit down and really watch this podcast. um but I want to take this time, Darlene, to acknowledge the fact that you could come and have time with us, and expound the wisdom that you have towards women and all of this psychology and connecting it with the Bible. I like how people, I like how professionals, when they are really good at their work and they connect it to the Bible and they bring the Bible to life, it really fulfills my heart, because the secular world, it has always tried to separate these together. But like you said, everything is connected, and I acknowledge the fact that you've really expounded on everything that the girls have asked the question on, and maybe there's more questions to be asked, and maybe we could have another session on that, on sessions on your own. But I would like to say thank you so much
Thank you,
for being our
Pastor.
guest today. I really take my hat of you and the ministry where God is taking you in, and the many more PhDs and masters that are ready to come in.
Yeah. Yeah, I just need the money for PhD.
But that being said, thank you very much for watching Empowering Voices. We are so honored to have this podcast. And if you ever come across this podcast, please do make sure you share and like and also subscribe. To all the viewers that are out there, thank you very much for always watching. And to anyone that'll be watching in Nicaragua. Nicaragua. Sorry, anyone will be watching Nicaragua, or whoever will be watching this podcast, thank you very much for your viewers. And is there any any message that you wanna just generally share to all the ladies that are out there, the young girls out there, or if you want to share a message to the family if they want to watch this as well, please, if you can
Yeah.
speak in Spanish, or you can you share with us
Thank you.
this.
Thank you, Pastor. So yes, as a younger that I was before, and I know these struggles, especially on self-worth and lack of self-esteem and validation. I want you to know that there is a God that can see everything and hears everything, and He cares about you. And even thought you don't know why you're lacking of self-worth, He is ready to help you, to search your heart
Amen.
and bring that up to light and heal you from, so you can ask for His healing, and forgiveness as well. Even if you're young and it feels like life it's too overwhelming and too much and too confusing, I want to tell you that Jesus can bring light into your life.
Amen.
And it's not only going to give you peace, but it's going to give you clarity. And that's life that we believe, oh, I'm so young, I still have 30 more years to figure out. When you meet Jesus, life feels shorter because it feels so enjoyable that you
Yes.
don't want the time to pass by, you know. So, and you have decisions to make. Um, make them with your parents, or people that you trust, and trying to meet Jesus through his word because he loves you and he cares about you, not just as a child, but as his little girl. You know,
Amen.
the Father is ready to for you to find that compensation in him of whatever you're lacking of right now.
Amen.
Amen. That's
Amen. Thank you very much, Darlene. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, girls, for taking your time as well to ask questions, be co host with me today. To all the viewers, thank you very much to all the donors that have donated all um, the finance and also the equipments to Empowering Voices. Thank you to everybody in Fiji. Thank you to Pastor and to ICA Church for always supporting. And thank you very much to everyone that'll be watching. This is Empowering Voices. I'm your host, Pastor Melly. Goodbye. Chimreplia ni Samuel Manda. Vinaka.